Good evening, and welcome to a very special. This is the worst Trump. Welcome to a very special Aloha Hour, starring Donald J. Trump. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I got nothing. I should write scripts or something. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be. It is the Aloha Hour, and I am once again your host, Mike S. Miller. Tonight, I'm gonna get this right. I know Ethan and the cohorts are in there still gallivanting around, but boy, I just couldn't get a word in edgewise. That's why I like the Aloha Hour to be a little more truncated. Fewer guests, maybe 4, maybe 5 sometimes. But that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Give me a shout out to them real quick. Aloha star. All right, let me get out of there. Pop open a new screen. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. A wonderful day for you. I spent all day today getting a used car from a different city. So I was out and about. You know how that sort of thing takes all kinds of time. You can hear my kids laughing in the other room. And I actually came up with an idea today. Oops, I think I just unmuted what I'm trying to mute. Hold on one moment, please. I'm sorry, I am not a boomer. I really am not. Or maybe I am. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate you saying that you prefer my style. Hold on. School is back in session, so that means I can tell my kids to go to bed at 10 o'clock. That's nice. All right, so pop this chat out. Let's see what you all, tell me what you guys have been up to today. Aloha, good dog press, aloha. Guys, I am like this close, like maybe 12. Actually, I haven't even checked. Let me check on my phone. I am 10 subscribers away from 2,700. Man, that's, we're screaming. What happened to the Acura? No, I keep the Acura. That's my car. I'm never getting rid of that, as far as I know. But I don't know. Most of you probably don't know. A couple 3 months ago, the transmission went out on our Sienna. I mean, I'm not gonna. It's okay. I'm gonna brag about it now because, you know, I try not to complain too terribly much about you know, the difficult things that I'd been going through. But on top of, you know, not having the money to pay my mortgage, and thank you guys for supporting me, that is dealt with. On top of the IRS coming down on me for not paying previous years, the transmission on our minivan went out as well. Didn't have the money. I mean, I didn't have the money to pay a mortgage. Obviously, I didn't have the money to pay for a new transmission. And the van is 14 years old. So honestly, the tranny would have cost as much, if not more, than the value of the car. So thankfully, a friend of ours had an old 1992 Lexus that he was not using, and he gave that to us. He just gave us this car. He had just gotten it out of the shop, said everything had been, you know, fixed up on it. It was working great. So I'm not that I'm looking a gift horse in the mouth. I was thankful that my wife had something, because she doesn't want to drive the Integra. She doesn't like driving the stick. The air conditioner. The air conditioner was dead. It had leather seats, and we were in like the worst heat wave in in years in San Diego. So every time my wife got in the car, it was like you'd sit in it and your back would just drip with sweat, and it was just like the most miserable experience. And then when we first got it, the power steering fluid would leak a little bit, right? So like every 4, 5, 6 days, I'd have to put more power steering fluid in. Well, it got to the point a week ago, I'd have to fill up the power steering fluid essentially every time she took the car out. She'd take it out, bring it back. I'd have to fill the power steering fluid. And to top it all off, it starts billowing these giant white clouds of smoke out of the back. And so it's been, yeah. So we went back to renting a car just so that my wife could drive the kids around. Because, I can't drive them around. I got to work. I got to be here working on Lone Star and talking to you guys. So we were renting a car, and we've been shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping and trying to find a car. My wife doesn't want to get a minivan again. And when you have a family this size, 7 people, your options are super, super limited on what kind of vehicles you can get. So we settled on a used Honda Pilot. And the cheapest one we could find was up in Mission Viejo. So we drove up there with my mom, and because of all this crap that's happened, my credit is crap, so I had to use my mom's credit to buy the car. But thanks to you guys, I had enough money to put down payment down on it, and so now we have a car that should be reliable and fun and awesome, and last us a good long time. We drove that Sienna 14 years, bought it brand new off the lot, 14 in 2004. Drove that thing into the ground. Station wagon. Yeah, you can't fit 8 kids or 8 people. It's usually my family plus 1. So it's either plus my mom or plus one of the kids' friends. So it's almost always we've got 8 people we're carting around. It's like we need a bus. But we don't want a bus. And I don't want like a Suburban or an Expedition or some huge monstrous tank. So the Pilot is like this medium-sized feeling. Hey, John.
How's it going?
Sorry, you're just listening to me ramble about my car. The Pilot's like this medium. It looks like a smaller car, but it's really, it's got 8 seats in it. So it's great, and I feel totally blessed and totally thankful to everyone in this community who's helped me out. My second round of Indiegogo money is, I got a notice that it'll be deposited today or within the next 3 to 5 days. And so that'll take care of my, the deposit on the minivan. So life's not the minivan, the Pilot. Life's good, John. How about you?
Pretty good. I'm going out to take the wife camping Friday night and Saturday night.
Fantastic. What kind of camping? Yes, DJ, this is Aloha. So
rustic, tent, little fire pit.
Oh, yeah. I asked because I'm in California, so camping for us is like desert, forest, beach.
So, woods, and a lake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my brother comes down here when we went camping. He's like, this is weird because we were just at the beach. Because he's from Portland. So camping is always the mountains, or whatever. It's proper camping. But beach camping is fun, man. Beach camping's fun. Says you're echoing, John. I don't hear it, but other people.
I was hearing something when I hopped in.
All right. March Hare for $4.99. You're a good dude, Mike. Hopefully it just keeps getting better. That is my hope as well. And John's hope. And everyone's hope.
Mm-hmm.
John.
Yep.
I had an idea today on the drive home because I couldn't get I couldn't figure out how to get the Bluetooth to work while I was driving, and I didn't want to mess with it while I was driving, so I just had it turned off. And I was thinking, what if, how I'm doing, like my next book is going to be Lone Star, but I'm also having somebody work on
Godsword?
Supposed to be. I keep forgetting to write. I'm going to make a note. I keep forgetting to write Paulo and bug him about that.
About Godsword?
Yeah, because he's supposed to have gotten me some art by now, but he hasn't. So I need to bug him.
Yeah.
But
or are you also thinking of your Game
Nuclear
of Thrones?
I was thinking of Nuclear Family.
Oh, Nuclear Family?
Yeah. So I got some more art in from that today, and I think this guy is going to be like on the ball. So I was thinking, and tell me what you think about this. My next Indiegogo, I run 2 books.
Oh, in one Indiegogo?
One Indiegogo.
Yeah, I think that's a better package for everyone. Is it still same price point area, like 25 for both or 50 for both?
Same price point individually, but I could do package deals because I'm doing both, and then I'd probably do 2 covers of each. So yeah, I could really up. I could even lower the price point and still up the sales volume.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a really smart idea. So you can buy one book for say $20, the other book for another $20, or you can go up to maybe like a $30 or a $50 tier for both books in one package.
Yeah,
with maybe
all $4 for like a hella good deal, you know, something like that.
Yeah, there definitely sounds potential in there for sure. Yeah.
Thinking about it, because I don't want to be like only doing one book every 3 or 4 months, you know.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's a great idea.
How many total pages? I'm gonna try to stick to around 48 pages per book, but honestly, it might go over for the next issue. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't decided if I'm still gonna do 2 more issues for Lone Star, or if I'm just gonna bump up the page count on the next book and try to finish it in 1 issue. So I got a couple of super chats here. Leo the Bum Tickler. Keep making comics, you bunch of nerds. Don't let me lay my 8 hands on you. Okay, he's an octopus apparently. Mark C, $5. Thank you for streaming. I couldn't take Doug anymore. I understand. That's why I did it. Doug. What are we going to do with him?
Oh, man, he's crazy. He was in there reading childhood letters that he wrote himself because he was very lonely. That's what you missed after you left.
Well, I didn't miss much. It's hard to when Doug's in there. Well, I mean, nothing against Doug, but he does suck up a lot of oxygen.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I saw his bright red face, and I could tell he was lit, and then I saw you pop in there, I was like, ooh, this is going to get good. I got out of bed for it because I was going to go to bed early. I was like, I got to be here because something's going to happen.
Too funny.
But then Cecil kind of took it. So
yeah, and Cecil was taking the brunt, man. Doug was going after him.
Well, they're going after each other. Right? I think it was a draw.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen the new Predator trailer?
No, I have not.
Oh man, get on YouTube and watch that. I mean, just watch it right now, and then let's talk about it because I think it looks.
Yeah, I thought maybe you were going to watch it in here when I saw the.
Well, I mean, if I could do it without sound, would people? Well, that won't get me a copyright strike, will it?
Okay, let me mute real quick myself, and I'm going to go over here and watch the trailer, and then I'll be right back.
All right.
I think.
All right, so yeah, everybody go to YouTube real quick, and click on the latest Predator trailer, and let's talk about it because I think it looks cool. But I don't want to taint your perceptions or your expectations. But let's just give it a chat. Maybe if video. Don't be stupid, Mike. We are on YouTube. I know. Okay, open another window, smarty. Hey, Professor Geek, did you get the link? I sent the link to the chat I believe you're in. If not, and you want to come in here, let me know, and I'll try to drop it to you. I saw the new Predator. Cross Comics says 1 and 2 are perfection. Yeah, Predator 1. Not so sure about Predator 2. Predator 1 was freaking, man, it was for a while there. Arnold couldn't do a bad action flick. Well, okay, I can't say that for sure, but he did. You know, there were some solid ones. Obviously, Predator and Terminator were just so, I mean, just epic stuff. 20 seconds in, I don't like it. Oh, none of your business. Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. I like Predator versus Aliens. Well, here's a funny thing for me. Well, maybe I should let you guys watch it. But the funny thing for me is I even like the bad Predator. Gosh, I am having the hardest time saying that word. Predator movies. I don't know what it is. Maybe I just have such a fondness for the character in my head that you know, it can get a little corny, a little ridiculous, and I still just dig it. A little bit about global warming. It's not a tumor. Maybe it's a tumor. It's not a tumor. Predator. Predator. Predator was best one by far. Alien was also the best one out of the Alien trilogy. Well, the thing is, Alien and Aliens are two different genre films. Alien is just a phenomenal space horror movie, right? But Aliens is a phenomenal space action adventure movie. So you can't, they're not even in the same category, so they're really hard to compare and say that one is better than the other, because it's like saying Blazing Saddles is better than Gladiator, right? It's like they're so not the same genre. Aliens was so awesome. Oh, does Predator come out tomorrow? I didn't even look at the date. I just watched the trailer. John's taking a really time watching this trailer. A really long time. Do they have time to bleed in the new one? I ain't got time to bleed. This stuff will turn you into a sexual tyrannosaurus.
What?
It's from Predator, man.
Oh, brother.
So what'd you think?
So, hold on, I gotta mute this again. So I had to bop out because I was listening to you and the thing. So.
Oh, sorry.
No, it wasn't your fault. Yeah, I guess it looks kind of fun. Some of the Predators look a little CGI-y.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm hoping that's not final. You know how sometimes they rush trailers out.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it looked great. It's an interesting new direction to go. And
yeah,
as I was saying, as you had me muted, I even like the bad Predator movies.
oh, yeah.
That's my kind of popcorn film, you know.
Yeah, I haven't seen what was the last one or two of them. So I kind of tapped out after the what was the one where they had was that Aliens versus Predator when the pyramid was under the ice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the last one I saw.
I like that.
yeah, I thought it was all right. And but yeah, that trailer I laughed at one part where they're like, "Oh yeah, we took a vote and we said Predator was cooler."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Yeah, that was funny." Yeah, it might be good. Might be fun to go watch.
Yeah. So. I'll probably take my older kids to it. Definitely not the younger ones. There was enough swearing in the trailer.
Oh yeah, right.
So
yeah. Where are you ranking it in terms of trailer? How jazzed are you?
Well, enough to want to go see it like in the theater.
Yeah.
So
7 or 8.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a solid 7. Solid 7.
Yeah.
You know, a movie, I got to get chills to get a 10. You know, I got to be like, oh my god.
Yeah, I probably give that a 6 right where I'm at right now. So, You know, I mean, it looked funny. It looked like interesting. I didn't get why that lady was kind of smiling when the feds or whatever at her door in the very beginning. She's like, "Oh, let me guess, he did something." Like, well, yeah, he might be going to prison. Who smiles at that? So,
ex-wife.
Oh, is that what it was? His ex-wife?
But that's who smiles at that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's always up to no good. Well, what if they're there to tell you he died? Smile right off.
Depends on how hard the breakup was.
Mm-hmm.
Testosterone says predator and predator. Man, I'm having the hardest time saying predator. Predator. Predator and Predator 2 are the only ones worth a crap. They just need guys in suits, just one or two, or go off-world. This new one looks redundant, probably a C or C minus. Well, hey, you know what? Go in with low expectations.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to see a film like that.
Yep.
This is going to suck. I'm sure of it, but I'm still going to pay for it, and I'm still going to go see it. Say penguin. Penguin. Wow, people don't like Olivia Munn.
She looked good in there. I was wondering if that was her for a second because, like, I don't know, she looked skinnier than normal. But no, I thought she looked good in there. She doesn't seem to be getting older.
Well, she's still in her 20s, isn't she?
No way.
Isn't she?
No way. I'm going to look this up. No, she's in her 20s like 20 years ago.
No.
Yeah. Born 1980. She's 38.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
She's part Asian, though, so that's why.
Yeah, yeah.
30s. It's bad. Pope Fire. Oh, have you seen the live-action Titans photos released? I saw some Robin stuff. I didn't look through all of it, though. Munn's in her mid-30s. No, Jiminy, she's 20. Oh, wait, did you say 38?
38.
38.
Mm-hmm.
High 30s, not mid.
Yeah.
Watch her eat hot dogs off a string? Okay. But she's like a nerd, though, right? She had like some show. What was her show?
Yeah, it was, I think it was on like GTV or something way back in the day. God, I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, she was just like whatever. I don't know if she's a real nerd. I mean, it was definitely a paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you don't want to turn down a paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not hating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I hope Black and White gets it's past 50% on funding, but he's only asking for 10 grand.
Oh yeah. Well, how long has it been up?
Since noon. So 10 and
it's doing good.
10 hours 47 minutes.
Did you say it had 6 already?
7.
Oh yeah, and it's doing just fine. Yep. I mean, that's about, I think that's about the speed that I was going at, that Ben Jones was going at. So yeah, I think he's on a good trajectory right now.
Right on.
It all depends on how much he's, going to start broadcasting on his own channel and try to keep, ramping up his audience and be to the best that he can entertaining and get out onto other channels if he's not going to do it on his own. So, I mean, if he keeps that up, yeah, he can do very well right now, I think. Yeah,
I think he's having trouble getting a word in edgewise next to Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the reason I had to beg out of there. Mark C for $5. Have either of you tried to reactivate the glue on your trade paperbacks by using an iron? If so, does it work? No, I have not tried, but let me know if it works. Speaking of which, entertain for a second.
Okay. I will go ahead and look at some of the chat. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good night tonight. I imagine a lot of you guys came over from Ethan's stream and watched all the zany, crazy Cecil versus Doug. Oh, for anyone that doesn't know, the new revelation of Dirty Doug is not only that he doesn't wash his hands, but he also does not brush his teeth. So, except for about once a week, he said. But then he kind of backtracked on that. So I'm not sure what the whole truth is. I think he might have realized he's drunk. So he's just free talking there. I was talking about Doug and the revelation that he's not brushing his teeth. And he said he only brushes them to kiss his wife, which you chimed in, Mike, and said, yeah, so apparently he only kisses his wife one time a week.
Yeah.
What a lucky lady.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I went to a place called Book Off today, and I did something I haven't done in a while. I bought some comic books.
Nice.
But what I bought, and I know he's been in the news a bit lately, but this was still a great.
No.
Come on. Come on. Don't tell me you didn't like this when it came out.
But I wasn't really into it. I don't know if I ever read it.
No,
I looked at the art. I probably have it, actually.
It's really good. I'm trying to get stuff that, that my kids can enjoy.
Yeah, true.
Which means I can't get anything from the last 15, 20 years. But I got this. I never even saw this. Mark Miller and Brian Hitch on the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, man. This is going to be good.
Yeah, Brian Hitch is a really good artist. I love the Ultimates run.
Hardcover, $13.
Nice.
And I got, okay. I hated John Romita Jr. in the 90s. Not as a person. I hated his art. And then later on, I got to like his art.
When he got more kind of Kirby.
Yeah, and he got a lot more detailed. Like adding a whole bunch of stuff to it. He just got better. But now that I like him, I can go back and re-like this stuff. So yeah, and Mark Miller, Romita Jr., the whole freaking thing. Look at the size of this book. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
How much did that cost?
$15.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it was $30 originally, but this was a used bookstore, so they've got all kinds of crap there. And this, the pièce de résistance, straight from the 80s, ladies and gentlemen. The best freaking Thor ever.
Ta-da!
Freaking Visionaries, Walt Simonson, all full color.
Does it have his roughs in there?
Huh.
Because I might have that same one.
Well, they would be in the back?
I don't recall.
No roughs.
Ooh.
Oh, wait. You mean this?
Yep, there it is. Yep, I think we got the same one.
Nice. $13.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's hours worth of freaking pleasure right there. Walt Simonson, people, I hope everyone knows what this book is. Go get that crap, man. This is, let me see. Kevin Smith. I know, this is Joe Quesada. I guess in one of the earlier editions of this, Ben Affleck wrote the foreword.
Yeah.
That's not this one. So that was my little treasure trove. Look at all that reading right there.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
We're making
good books, good copies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one is more 50-50 than Humberto Ramos.
What's 50-50?
I don't know. What do you mean by 50-50? His artwork or
like
his
so-so?
Politics?
Probably so-so. His art is probably so-so.
I love Humberto's art.
Yeah.
Kick-Ass was a Romita book. Marvel before the SJW. Yeah. When he was just, well, I still don't think Joe's an SJW. I just think he's probably a little hobbled. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of knives ready to go into other people's backs at Marvel, and I think they kind of feel they need to defend each other to make sure the stabbing doesn't start. So, I mean, it's all theory here, but Yeah, I really don't get it because I don't necessarily see him as an SJW. I mean, he was the guy who, in what the early 2000s, said the remark about DC Comics. It's a little adulty, but I'll try to tone it down, saying that they're like an adult film star with that's well equipped and doesn't know how to use it. But he said it very more crass than how I said it. So
more colorfully.
yeah, a lot more color was put into that. And I mean, I think he was editor-in-chief at that time. And, you know, he was kind of stoking the fires of competition again. And I remember that, and I was like, yeah, I mean, on one hand, yeah, that's good. It's definitely not like the big professional moralist going on here. I mean, he took a big stab at a competitor. So yeah, this Joe Quesada that's out there running around now is, you know, someone that, you know, a completely different person, I think.
Yeah.
And it may be because someone like Sobalski or Brevoort, you know, these guys have all been in there at the same time, and I think between them, there probably is a little bit of skeletons in the closet that the three of them would rather not have out there if the audio recording of the names have been changed is in fact factual. So,
well, I'll tell you one story, and you probably I don't even well. Never mind.
yeah, let me see if I can find that recording. I'll just post a link.
A lot of people are bagging on Umberto in the chat, seems like. Yeah, it's funny. Umberto used to be like, you know, really, he used to be a good friend. I would talk to him like every time, you know, I'd rode in limos with him. I've known this guy since like 1995, right? Back when he still had baby face. And yeah, after Trump got elected, and he made that, you know, I'm not going to any red states anymore statement because he thought that everyone who voted for Trump was a racist. Dude, he like practically snubs me now when I see him at cons. And it wasn't because comics, it was just because of Trump, and I was a open and vocal Trump supporter. It's crazy. People will just
oh, that's why, because you're a conservative.
Yeah. Well, he knew I was a conservative before.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent he's a conservative. But he just bought into all that bullcrap that Trump is a racist and that anyone who supports him is a racist. And it's like, what are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, it's like party lines and stuff. You know, I mean, people they keep acting like it's you voted for him because he's racist, and it's like, well, no, because Republicans probably voted for him because he's a Republican and he's the guy that, you know, they're going to vote for. And you know, I'm sure they see some things that they relate with somewhere in his policies, and you know, I think that should be understandable. But that's no fun for them to come to that kind of rational conclusion. It's got to be the narrative that, you know, the Democrats were putting out, that anyone supporting him is a basket of deplorables, and you know, they're just the worst people ever.
Yeah, Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah,
Cthulhu says, and I agree. My head is mine bureaucratic. What?
I think your chat is drunk tonight.
I think so. Hey, chat, you guys been hitting the old cough syrup a little too hard. You know what that's from? It's from Dumb and Dumber. Remember the cop?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm still looking up this podcast thing here real quick.
Yeah. Mark C for $5. Cool books, Mike. I just got Waringo's Telos Colossal hardcover. I think it's his best work. Well, it was his own work, and so he put heart and soul into that. Yeah, I was saying I have around here somewhere. I have a cover breakdown, an unused cover breakdown by Mike Waringo that would have to be finished and inked. But it'd be fun because I only worked with Mike one time. I inked him on X Factor, X Force. Man, one of those freaking books. Way back in 1995, I think. But yeah, that was the only time I got to work with Mike. I think I sold whatever pages I had a long time ago. But it'd be nice to kind of bring a new Mike Waringo piece to market because it's, you know, he did pretty tight breakdowns on it. So use vellum, don't screw with the roughs. Why? I am a professional comic book artist. I can finish a Mike Waringo piece. I'm an inker. I was his inker on a book at Marvel, so it's not like I'm some kid, you know, trying to scribble on top of some other artist's work. Oh my gosh, dude! Did you ever see that Walden Wong video where he had to destroy that X-Men piece, the Arthur Adams?
What happened?
Oh,
he destroyed it.
Yeah, he destroyed it. Do you remember when Arthur Adams did the X-Men SpaghettiOs?
I remember Walden telling me that he had a bunch of Art Adam pages, though.
Okay, well, someone else had bought this X-Men SpaghettiOs cover piece, right? And it was like, you know, a horizontal piece because it had to wrap around the can, and it had Wolverine, I think Rogue, maybe like Colossus. So, you know, it had Wolverine in the front, like great, awesome, you know, Paul Smith type Wolverine pose, Heroes for Hope, Arthur Adams pose. You know what I mean? And then it had the other X-Men characters behind him. So the owner of the piece sends it to Walden and says, "I want you to black out all of the other characters except Wolverine."
What?
Yeah. And Walden's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want you to do it." And he's like, "Well, I can just, you know, do another version for you and re-ink it, you know, like, you know, do like printed out blue line or whatever and re-ink it." Just, he's like, no, I want the original Arthur Adams, but I just want it to be Wolverine. So he did a video of it. He was like so crushed that he had to do it. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's on his page. So
yeah, I'll check it out.
Guys, check it out. Go to Walden Wong. Walden Wong Art. Professor Geek, what's up, Mike?
Yeah, don't check it out yet, guys. But
don't check it out now.
After the show.
Yeah, write a note. Make a note.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put this link in the chat. This is something else everyone should look at after the show because it's about a 20-minute clip. But that is a juicy link regarding Joe Quesada, CB Cebulski, Tom Brevoort, and if it's true, it's all about how they were planning to take talent from Marvel and farm them out to DC under their own studio system. What? So they were planning to run a coup on Marvel. But if I remember it correctly, according to this, Joe Quesada became editor-in-chief, and then they kind of put all their plans on hold. So wow. And now, but it goes into the Akira Yoshida stuff that was going on at the time. This is from a guy who worked at Marvel, and he left Marvel and tried to get in as a writer. And once he was gone from Marvel, CB Cebulski, I think, was a talent coordinator, and there was no work, but there was work for Akira Yoshida. So that is a juicy link, guys. If it's true, if it's true, it's nearly an allegation of fraud on CB Cebulski taking advantage of freelancers to benefit himself when supposedly the company policy at that time was that no editors were supposed to be taking on any kind of writing jobs because supposedly Joe Quesada was saying that they wanted to be sure that new talent was coming in. So at this point, CB Cebulski fabricates Akira Yoshida so that he can, well, basically double dip.
Launching in 2011 is one of those on my own times. It's Stuff Said solo. I finished pretty much all of February through.
Which part is it on?
Local comic shops.
It's probably the whole thing. I don't know where it starts.
Which is to say, we don't get page rates or advances. Of course, I keep saying that I'm going to talk about all this stuff in depth another time. Sites have contact fields for emailing me. SpongeBob Comics, believe it or not, about me rambling. But it's one that when I heard it, it kind of knocked me out, and the story I've not been able to not think of since knowing it.
Well, we're just going to listen to it.
Because the story is that kind of comic book Babylon story, I've taken some measures in its telling.
Can you guys hear it okay?
Yeah, I can hear it.
The title of the episode will explain it all. I'll say some stuff afterwards to sort of close it out. But without any more preamble, I hope you enjoy this story, which I have entitled The Names Have Been Changed.
All right, real quick. Mark C for $5. Micah meant no offense to you. It's an untouched Mike Waringo. Please, roughs or not, there will never be another. I understand that, Mark.
The following is all true. The
Let's
names
go.
have all been changed. This story begins with a comic book writer named Roberto Mendoza. Roberto was born in the Philippines to a father in international business.
Akira Yoshida.
He was exposed to popular culture from the U.S., including American superhero comics, which he has said was how he learned English. He always dreamed of making comics professionally, and in the early to mid-2000s, he started writing for Capital Comics. The American readers would come out of nowhere, but clearly was staking a claim, very quickly building his bibliography with Capital Comics via a number of miniseries featuring some of Capital's most high-profile characters. Capital Comics had pretty recently gone through some big changes. A few years earlier, the company installed a new publisher, Glenn Allen Walken. And as publisher, Walken named Jed Bartlett as the new editor-in-chief. Walken and Bartlett
Is that Alonzo?
a number of new
I think Bartlett is Quesada.
both in the content of their books
Oh,
and their internal bureaucracy.
man, he should have made the names rhyme at least.
Was a new rule dictating
I don't think he wanted to get sued.
could not do freelance work for Capital Comics, which is to say no editors could write comics or no one in production could draw or color comics, at least not for additional pay. This was allegedly meant to encourage the discovery of new talent, and to that end, someone on staff was charged with that task. C.J. Craig, a former freelance writer turned in-house editor, had risen through the ranks at Capital Comics very quickly. C.J. was given the job of new talent scout and talent coordinator. Prior to arriving at Capital, C.J. had spent some time working in international comics, and it was through that experience C.J. brought to Capital Comics a new writer from the Philippines, Roberto Mendoza. As you already know, Mendoza quickly built up his resume writing for Capital Comics. Roberto Mendoza was a hot commodity, a rising star in the business. And after about 2 years writing comics, working on high-profile characters with highly respected artists, Roberto Mendoza disappeared. Folks at Capital Comics didn't much like Glenn Allen Walken as publisher. A lot of the changes he implemented weren't popular amongst the staff. This dissatisfaction was so intense and pervasive, that a group of 6 editors actually started having meetings outside of work to discuss their options. They called themselves Six Gun, and in their after-work meetings, they developed a plan to leave Capital Comics en masse, taking writers and artists with them, package comics for other publishers. This plan went far enough such that they'd apparently reached out to Capital's main rival, District Comics, with a proposal including a list of creators they would have in tow. This was some big doings, some real machinations. CJ was a part of Six Gun. So was editor Toby Ziegler. But for all their planning, it never came to pass. Both CJ and Toby opted to stay at Capital Comics. But by backing down, and with Walken's policy of staff employees not being allowed to work freelance, several other members of Six Gun, among them Toby's assistant Will Bailey, left Capital Comics in pursuit of their own freelance goals. Will started at Capital Comics as an intern, working for Donna Moss, and was hired by Toby not long after his internship. They became great friends, and Will was a member of Toby's wedding party. Two of them, CJ and Donna, were all part of Six Gun. They'd been through some stuff together. Which is all to say that Will left his job at Capital Comics with friends in high places, as it were. And with that, perhaps a sense that his freelance efforts might have better footing.
It's only a few more minutes, guys.
Makes a lot of sense. As much as it's a cliche, there's truth to the old "it's who you know" adage. So, just to keep the scorecard clear, on the Six Gun crew, Toby and CJ stayed at Capital Comics, Will left to work freelance, and Donna found another job elsewhere.
I think Toby is Tom Brevoort.
Six Gun was done. Everyone got back to their respective work. Will, now pursuing freelance work, had always wanted to write for Capital Comics. Like so many fans turned pro, he loved the characters and the universe and wanted to play in that sandbox. And he was now in arguably a prime position to do just that. His friend, Toby, edited the line of books for which he wanted to write. And his other friend, CJ, was the gatekeeper of any talent looking to work at Capital Comics. So Will did his part. He wrote pitches, tried out for projects he knew were in the pipeline, talked to his old friends about potential opportunities at Capital, but Will never got any of those jobs.
Was Toby Jimmy Palmiotti?
No, in nearly every
I think Toby is TB, Tom Brevoort.
Stewardship of Toby, and to a writer CJ had found and brought into the fold.
But Brevoort didn't leave Marvel.
No, he's talking about the ones that stayed.
Maybe Will wasn't very good, or not good
I
enough.
believe. I haven't listened to this in a while.
And that might be true. And maybe Roberto was good enough, or at least better than Will, and that's why he was getting those jobs. Except for one thing. One thing that puts a wrinkle in everything. Roberto Mendoza was not a real person.
Dun, dun, dun.
Roberto wasn't born in the Philippines to an international businessman father. He didn't learn English from American comics, TV, and movies. He wasn't discovered by Capital Comics talent recruiter CJ. Roberto was invented by CJ.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Boy, that would have been much better if he didn't change the names.
Well, there should have been more to that. Was that where it ended?
Oh, no. Was there more?
Yeah, there should have been. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, screw it.
Oh, well.
How you doing, Professor Geek? Did you follow that?
I did, yeah. I came in just as John was introducing it and caught it. That's interesting stuff. I'll definitely have to find the link and hear the rest of that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, so you can
Cool.
just dig it up and replay.
Cool. I'll check that out.
Yeah. The machinations of those who know nothing about loyalty, I guess. Well, whatever. I mean, I'm just surprised that they maintained their jobs after that.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the overall point of the piece was that you're trying to you're setting up to hijack talent and from your own company, and then whatever. As I understand it, it alleges that Joe Quesada becomes editor-in-chief, and then they say, we'll stick around. So all these people have been highly rewarded through the years since then. And that's something that makes me think that there are knives waiting to go into people's backs.
Oh,
if any of these people start going down.
It's like, what is it, Skull and Bones or something like that, where you have to give up. No. It was that freaking, that sex cult with Chloe from Smallville.
Oh, yeah.
When you came in, you had to give them secrets about yourself that no one else could ever want, so that everybody was accountable to each other.
Like, let them take pictures of you or something too.
Yeah, that kind of crap. So you had to give them blackmail stuff in case you ever tried to go off the reservations.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that part of Scientology too?
I don't know.
I think that one lady.
What you're saying, John, is that Marvel is a cult.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm pretty sure that's what you said.
I'm saying there's some highly questionable behavior, and I'm sure that what that audio alleges is probably just the tip of the iceberg in terms of who's doing favors for who, and you know, it's probably unethical. I don't know if it's criminal, but it's probably unethical.
Yeah, well, Scientology does the same thing with their adults audits.
Oh, audits, yeah.
Huh. Chauncey says Marveltology.
True Believers gives a whole new meaning to that.
Yes. And they brand their bums. Turned out to just. Oh yeah. The girls in that sex cult got branded by Chloe.
Oh yeah.
Terrible. Well, it sounds like is Ethan's stream cutting out or?
Mm-hmm. Why? What's up?
Oh, there's suddenly twice as many people in here for one.
Oh, well, probably because I was giving you all that juicy dirt, man, and then you just cut it off early.
Everybody just knew it was going to happen and just ran in here.
No, they spread the word. They're like, dude, you got to listen to this.
Hey, speaking of comic, publishers and whatnot, and moving around and pieces moving and stuff, have either of you heard of Ahoy Comics? AHOY, Ahoy Comics?
No.
Just today, I think.
Yeah, today they just launched their
it?
first book, and some minor players that have been around the industry. I see Hart Seeley, Frank Camuso,
Eigel, right?
Eigel, yeah, did the art for the new book. Yeah, Eigel and Tom Payer was the writer, and the book is actually pretty solid. I picked it up. It's I don't know anything about these people. I didn't recognize their names, but the book is called The Wrong Earth, and the premise is you have a Batman analog character named Dragonfly. And the idea is that you have one Earth in which it's like the Adam West Batman with Robin and the 66 mentality. And the other one's like a Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns. And the two of them get switched, go to the opposite Earth. So you've got Adam West in Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, basically. And that one. So it's really a cool premise and everything. But I didn't know anything about the creators behind it. So I just didn't know if you guys had any thoughts or stories or ideas about this or knew what was going on. But it's cool to see a new comic publishing company, crop up, and apparently they got some new titles coming out too eventually.
How are they publishing? Just direct to the market?
Yeah, I picked it up in the comic book store, so it's through Diamond and everything.
Yeah, they won't last long.
Probably. Probably not.
It's
yeah.
It's a hard business, man. It's a hard business. Jordan says he was so bored during that audio that he missed Doug TenNapel talking about not washing his hands.
Oh, brother.
Sorry, I guess you weren't into that juicy, gossipy insider information. Hey guys, I am 9 subs away from 2,700. If any of you in here have not subbed already, please do. And please smash that like notification so that people know you're in here watching it and can follow you in. So please do that if you would. Thank you very much. So, Professor Geek, what's been on the table for you lately?
Oh, just working, teaching, and working on my own comic script. One day, hopefully, I'll have an own little Indiegogo campaign to announce. So,
did you say twerking?
Yes, I'm a professional twerker. No, no one wants to see that. No, working. The semester's really picking up for me and everything. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are my long days. So, I miss some of this drama, like some of the Joe Quesada stuff and everything going on. I'll be so busy, and then I'll jump in on Twitter and like, whoa, the world just blew up.
Wow,
yeah. To go back and
that was 3 days of
figure it all out.
3 days of rampage. I mean, it was gold, Jerry, gold.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how other comic creators treated it. A lot of people trying to jump in on it and say, yeah, good, solidarity, but not really wanting to get too close because he was getting a little crazy even for some people. It was just an interesting thing to see people try to navigate around in the industry.
You know, even though it seemed like a lot, what's more interesting to me is that it wasn't as many as I would think it would be.
Oh yeah,
There's a tide change happening from my point of view, and you know, I think a lot of people are just waiting to see how things are going to play out. I think a lot of people understand that Comicsgate is definitely not a hate movement, and there's a lot of freaking nutbags in the comics industry, and they're just waiting for things to go back to normal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well, I mean-
I think the more people, anyone who like takes even a cursory glance at who's involved in the movement, at least on the creative end, and they're hearing all of this, they're all right white men, and then they see any given stream, this one notwithstanding, and it's almost always majority or you know, half and half minorities. There's way more as a balance, way more minorities in the creative body of Comicsgate than there are in the actual comic book industry.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not actual, but the traditional comic book industry.
And
yeah,
they
'cause-
wouldn't be pushing this narrative so hard if people weren't really turning to the movement and checking it out. And you know, the campaigns, you know, eventually ending and going to be delivering soon and stuff. And I think they're frightened, and that's why they're really trying to push this campaign so fervently. And they're really, I think, probably even sort of bullying each other and trying to get people to jump on board. I even saw, I think, Scott Snyder throw in with Joe Quesada in one tweet, and that was shocking because he's always remained that neutral, you know.
yeah,
So I'm
well,
sure that
I think he's now I think I heard that he's now following Not Famous.
Oh wow,
Yeah. So
great.
You know, it's interesting.
Well, there's a good source of information.
She's sort of a Twitter reflection of Richard C. Meyer, where, you know, he rose to prominence by critiquing, criticizing the SJWs, and she's rising to prominence by critiquing, criticizing, and just plain harassing us.
Yeah.
Yeah, except
Yeah.
we're not the far right. We're the middle. It's like, okay, good job. Good
Well,
job.
we're not any of that. We're everything except
yeah.
for far left.
Well, that's what I mean by middle. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm far right. I'm far right / libertarian. So, however you want to drop me in that bucket.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's just
you're
it, though.
with them, you're against.
They're gonna take you saying far right, and they're gonna put implications there that aren't necessarily there. So I mean,
they also try to say I'm a racist because I said that moron didn't know who his father was. They're still trying to run with that one. It's like,
oh yeah, they're gonna run with anything they can get.
oh yeah, I'm so racist.
It's this illogical checklist. It's kind of like you know, did you vote this way or do you believe this way? Then you're a Nazi. It's kind of like the are you a mammal and do you hop? Well, then you have to be a bunny. Well, maybe you're a kangaroo. You know, there are other options. It's just not thought through. You know.
Well, thinking isn't their strong suit.
Yeah.
It's all about feelings. Feelings. That's it.
Jeez.
Really waiting for the serenade.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You know, look, man. Comics Gators can be a little bit blue on the humor. You know, they can be a little bit more bombastic, but you know, we're the regular folks of you know the left and the right, you know, and the middle.
Yeah.
And some far right, apparently. but you know, I mean, you know, we're all the normal people. We're the ones that understand that, you know,
We're America.
Yeah.
We're left, we're right, we're center, we're black, we're white, we're yellow, we're everything in between. We're just not psychotic SJWs.
Yeah, and we're not going to let them control us and dictate to us through you know, through paychecks like Marvel to be like, well, you need to toe this line or else.
And isn't it amazing how night after night after night, day after day, on practically 24 hours a day, we have this disparate group of people of all different creeds, colors, faiths, non-faiths, and even political ideologies, and we all just hang out together and talk comics and talk movies and everything, and we're just regular, normal human beings having conversations, and they hate it. They can't stand it.
It drives them nuts.
Them.
All you have to do is be a regular Joe, and it drives them insane.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh no, you know why? Because if you say the word normal, then you're racist.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that's scaring them too, whether they realize it or want to admit it or not, is that we're also a reflection of the average consumer.
Yeah.
And those consumers aren't going into the shops and picking up their titles necessarily, and they're perking up their ears to these old Indiegogo campaigns and stuff. So that's gotta be a stick in their craw, as they say.
No competition to Marvel, DC, Image. No competition has ever ruffled so many feathers. And Joe Quesada, the CCO of Marvel, coming down from the tower to start swinging around his stick. I mean, that's so telling about how close to the truth of their. It's like when that Evergreen College incident happened and those SJWs took it over and it became this huge incident. I believe it was the professor, Brett Weinstein, made a remark about, it seemed to him that the worst part for them was not just that he had a problem with it, but that he kind of told on them, that he kind of tattled on them, like he interfered with their game, like a Lord of the Flies kind of type thing. You know, and it's like, I went to the press and I talked about it, and they're like, "Aw, you ruined our fun." And it's like, what kind of psychotic mindset is going on here where you're taking over a college, you're putting the professors, locking them into I think it was the library, and then you're on the outside of the windows banging on it. I mean, like terrifying these people. And then you're telling them where they can go to the bathroom, watch the windows so no one gets out. I mean, that was without a gun, it was a hostage situation. And I mean, that was pure ideology run awry. And most people don't even know about it. I still talk to people. I'm like, well, have you heard about what happened at Evergreen? And they're like, what's Evergreen? I'm like, it's a college. I'm like, it went bat crap crazy. And I say that out of respect for Mike. But, I mean, look, this stuff's going on. And then you look at something like, in the big two, and I've said this before, but it's like, look, you don't need 100 people to come into a company like Marvel to take it over with an ideology. You just need about 10 well-placed ones and let the infection spread. And then it'll be taken over within months, within a year. Yeah. And I think that's happened. I'm sure there's plenty of people that work at Marvel that are probably afraid that if they mention that they kind of think Trump is okay, that they may lose their job. Maybe not directly, but all of a sudden, the phone's not getting picked up, or you're not getting called over to the water cooler. It's a mentality that's going through. And right back to the Alana Smith tweets, where she made an open threat. She said, make no mistake, if you vote for Trump, we're going to remember who you are. That's not just something to freelancers. That's something to everybody in that company, and staff, the newsroom, or the marketing department. That's everybody. That's why, as a corporation, Marvel should have stomped that out immediately and said, no, you're not gonna intimidate your coworkers and our freelancers.
Yeah.
So, but because there was no response to that, you have to take her at her word.
Yeah. What's so mind-boggling to me about this is, you bringing up the academic world. That is horrible, because it's the same kind of thing in the academic world. You have a lot of professors afraid to speak out, especially in some of these universities where you've got students coming in and protesting a test being taken because they don't feel like the test is fair to a minority group or whatever. Just some of this silly nonsense going on, and professors afraid to do too much because they know that ultimately the university is going to back the students. And you can see that, it's horrible, but you can see that where the university is getting incentives for showing diversity. It's getting incentives from the government. It's going to get there's a sense that they're going to make more money by playing along with this SJW game. But where is this incentive for Marvel? I mean, ultimately, it's losing them money from the top down, and I just don't understand where the lack of somebody, you know, in Disney or whatever, or somebody in the upper echelons there saying stop that. You know, I just don't understand where that disconnect is.
Because being called a racist and a sexist and a homophobe, that's powerful, and that can destroy your career and your life. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a good handful. You know, not as likely not as strong as what I perceive to be at Marvel, but I'm sure there's a good handful of SJWs in well-placed positions. You know, look at what was it, Kathleen Kennedy wearing the Force is female shirt. I mean, that's completely divisive. And you know, what does that signal to everybody right on through Lucasfilm? It says, if I worked for Lucasfilm, I'd say I better watch my, you know, conservative actions or whatever, because this lady up here is, you know, running on this crazy feminist to where all of a sudden the Force has a gender.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that's already a fairly standardized point of view in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, it's already left. So if you're already left and then you throw in some SJWs that are just waiting to stab you in the back, I mean, the paranoia itself is, you got to be powerful.
Yeah, it puts me in mind of like the McCarthy era and the Red Scare and stuff like that. Only it's a different boogeyman. You know, did you vote this way? Well, then you're, you know, blah blah blah, and give us the names of other people who voted this way or whatever. You know, you can see it developing into something like that. It's frightening.
Yeah,
did
but McCarthy
you
was right.
Sorry, Mike, what?
I said, but McCarthy was right.
I'm just talking about his methods.
Yeah.
So did you
Another
guys
two
see the that leaked Google video?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you think of that?
Oh my gosh. That's I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched the one with the little clips.
Oh yeah, I watched a bit of the actual one. Go ahead, Mike.
Isn't it like an hour long?
Yeah, I didn't watch that much.
Yeah, yeah.
I missed it.
Oh yeah, it was the day after the election. They have these Friday meetups at Google. And their Friday big meeting with all of their employees was just this freaking funeral procession because Donald Trump had won the election the night before.
And again, the message that I was getting from that is, if you worked at Google and if you happen to vote for Trump, just from that meeting, it's like, you better just keep your head down and keep on trucking, man, because these guys, they got a bone to pick with you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it really does shed light on how they are not being fair and balanced in their treatment of conservative versus leftist stories and algorithms and whatever else they're using to try to shape the narrative through what should be a public service that they're providing from a private company, right? They shouldn't have the power to do that. And it's a weird, funky gray area because I believe in the rights of private companies, but they are monopolizing a public service. And so, I mean, it's
have you heard about the someone over in China working for Google quit in protest over ethics because of China wants to be able to basically spy on everybody, and this guy, said, "Hey, everything we're doing here is wrong. It goes against our values." And he said he expected more people to resign because of the severe ethical question. But I just thought it was funny because I was like, clearly, spying on people and doing all these totalitarian type things in China is, a big no-no. And yeah, I think this guy might have been a Canadian. But it's like, look, I mean, these are like the same people that would be more than happy to throw those same processes down on our internet. And, oh, well, we got to know who's doing this or what they're doing. It's just so weird that you can see so clearly like a line between good and evil when it's over in China, but these same types of people come over here and they want to put those same kind of processes in force on society. You know, I mean, everything on the internet is you don't know who's doing what with that information. There's always something going on, be it Facebook, Google. So it's weird that they can see something so clearly when it's on the other side of the world, but when it's this side of the world, they want to know who their enemies are. They want to control how we think and what we see, read.
Yeah, that disconnect in their minds, a lot of SJWs come across with as this sort of pseudo intellectualism or pretend to some sort of like elitism like that. But it's the first thing you think about or learn when you're talking about debate and arguments is to avoid the false binary, avoid the idea of good guys versus bad guys on any one issue. It's more than just two sides. You're going to have a lot of gray area, and it's more of a complex issue. Yet to hear them describe any issue which they're against, it's them, the good guys, against all those evil bad guys that don't agree with them. And it's just a basic fallacy. It's ridiculous how they adhere to it.
Yeah, and I don't want to be redundant because I say this all the time, but that's basically how I define SJW. I know everybody has their own. It's like this amorphous term, right, without a true definition. But for me, when I refer to SJWs, I refer to this element, and I'll even grant that there are SJWs that fit this definition on the far right, but predominantly they exist on the far left. They are people who believe that anyone who disagrees with them is crazy, stupid, or evil. And therefore, it allows them to functionally dismiss any suggestion or thought or feeling that comes out of the mouths of those people. Because it's a way, I think it's sort of a defense mechanism against hearing contrary ideas, a way that allows them to forgive themselves for being so closed-minded in the name of open-mindedness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's how
it's like the abortion issue. And don't worry, I'm not going to dig into this too deep. But look at the abortion issue. So you have one side that would be pro-life, you have another side that would be pro-choice, and from the firmest stances on either side, these people, you know, would have a real hard time seeing eye to eye, because one side is going to see it as baby murder and the other one is going to see it as a woman's body, her body, her choice. So it's going to be really hard. But even these people, you know, definitely not into the furthest of the extremes, but even someone who's pro-life and pro-choice should be able to agree. I think we all should be able to agree that they can sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk about whatever they want to talk about. It shouldn't be something that's such a huge divider between them that civility drops. So if you want to sit down and be like, okay, well, let's talk about business, or let's talk about sports, or let's talk about anything else going on in the world, you know, but this issue, because we know we have such far apart views, we're going to leave that, you know, off the table here. So if you can have that regular conversation with somebody, that should be the way it goes. Like, you should be able to take away, you know, these elements, but how it is now with politics is, for the SJWs, is they will not be able to tolerate anyone who voted for Trump. Yeah. And when it comes to the severity of the argument, so you can argue, you know, you can argue for or against Trump, whatever. But look, I mean, the severity of the argument of something like pro-choice and pro-life, I mean, that's a huge, huge gap there. But if it's okay for these two people to sit in a room and have a conversation about business without going at each other's throats, then you should be able to have the same thing with Trump and Hillary and Bernie supporters. Everyone gets together, have a conversation, talk about whatever. You don't want to talk about politics, great. But to vilify the other people to such an extent. Now, maybe Mike's down with that. I don't know, because he's far right. But but look, I mean, truth is, I don't and I could be wrong, Mike, but I think that you would be able to sit down with a Hillary supporter and talk about comics and talk about, you know, business, or talk about sports, or talk about whatever, you know, just by knowing that you guys are complete political differences, you're gonna take the civility and set that off to the side and have, you know.
Yeah, no, I
conversation.
have great friends who are left wing who are not psychotic SJWs.
Yeah.
We'll disagree about just about everything, but I enjoy those conversations more because, especially if you're sitting down over a beer rather than over Twitter trying to one up, you know, or Facebook trying to one up each other. You know, when you're sitting down having a beer, having a meal, and talking about things, you find commonality far easier and far more realistically than you do, you know, when you're playing to a crowd on Facebook or whatever. It's, you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's really
so the example I have where, you know, you can sit down with the pro-life and the pro-choice, or you can sit down if you're the Hillary or the Trump supporter. I mean, this all revolves around one simple idea, and that's tolerance. That's how tolerance works. You know, you say, I understand we have areas where we do not see eye to eye, but in the name of civility, we're going to show tolerance. So when an SJW looks at anyone who supported Trump, right? So, I mean, I think it was Baby Bones. I'm not going to say his name and give him credit, but Baby Bones, I believe it was him, said something about, I think it was Ethan, saying all you really needed to know was that he voted Trump. Like that's it. That's all it takes to convict him. Yeah. And that is intolerance. That is complete intolerance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, go ahead.
So those conversations are so important because, you know, using your example there, John, the pro-lifer and pro-choice, going into that, you know, conversation with those labels, they're already set up in their minds to be so opposed to each other. But, you know, maybe it might be that, let's say they get to talking and the pro-lifer might be okay with abortion in a case of rape or something, and then the pro-choice might be against partial birth abortion. Well, in that case, you've got two people who by their labels should be at each other's throats, yet both of them believe that this procedure should be allowed in certain situations. That's a lot more common ground than you would have noticed just by the labels alone. So that's why those conversations are so important in the tolerance, like you're saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely room for tolerance. So, you know, but look, I mean, someone like Mike, maybe, you know, with all the religion thrown in there as well, you know, so he has probably, I would assume, I don't know, but he probably has some really strong beliefs that also come through that view of religion that kind of backs up. So, you know, I mean, I understand that.
You know, interestingly, I became pro-life before I became a Christian, and I was a pretty liberal guy. But I told my dad one time I was pro-choice, and he's like, "Why?" And like, I really couldn't answer him. You know, I mean, but, oh, freedom, choice, blah blah blah. You know, the typical stuff you hear from the left. And he's like, "Do you know for a fact if it's a life?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Isn't it logical to err on the side of life?" And that was it. I'm like, logic, I can't logic my way out of that. So I became pro-life. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like marching around or anything like that, but my position just switched because my dad was an engineer. You know, he was an agnostic, he was an engineer. He was just all about logic, reason, making things work, and
thinking it through.
Yeah, and I was just like, you can't argue that. It can't be argued. Do you or do you not, as a decent moral human being, err on the side of life? Right? So I switched then. Long years before I became a Christian.
Yeah, I can understand that point of view. So yeah, I mean, there is a logic to it, and I'm sure the other side is going to try and counter that, and you know, more power to them. So the point being,
not their friend either.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, the point being that, you know, look, I mean, there's going to be differences of opinions, and they're going to be strong, you know, and it comes down to what is tolerance. Can you be tolerant? Can you be civil with people still? If you can't, then that's worrisome. If it comes to the point of anyone, SJW, whatever, coming to the point that all that is left is forcing your views on people, then that's intolerance. That's it.
Yeah,
it's
guys in the chat, we don't have to turn this into an abortion debate.
It's interesting though, because they almost the SGW crowd almost understood that principle. Almost right after Trump won the election, a lot of people were saying, the reason this happened is because your average, people who went in to vote for him felt unheard. They felt like people were brushing them aside and not listening to them, so they voted. And then you just for like one brief cultural moment, you had the left start to think, well, do we need to reach out and make overtures to these people? But no sooner than they considered that idea did you have the movement come right up. No, these people voted for a horrible man, and therefore they're horrible people. And do we really need to, so it's like the bear to consider what you're saying there, John. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Accurate. Well, guys, it is 1:45. I think I need to wind this down. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm ready. It's almost 3 for me. So yeah, no, I had a good time. Thanks for having us on, Mike, and thanks to everyone in the chat. I'll just go ahead and drop my stuff right now. You can find me at John Malin on Twitter, John Malin on YouTube, and I have an Indiegogo called Graveyard Shift that's out right now. And actually, let me just pop that up just 1 second here, because I think we.
John, final say, thumbs up or thumbs down? Are you gonna go see the Predator movie?
When does it come out?
I have no idea.
No. Right now, I'd say thumbs up. But if it's over a prolonged period of time, that little bit of whatever buzz there is there could possibly fade. But my Indiegogo is $60 away from crossing 63. So if people would like to support it, I would really appreciate it.
Nice.
And, yeah. So otherwise, I think that's it.
Right
Very
on.
cool.
Professor Geek?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Michael Kreitzer and Professor Geek on YouTube, of course. And that's pretty much the be all and end all. Come check out my channel. It's good stuff. I just finished up a live stream myself. Other than that, I can do the hang on, let's see here. Okay. Be good to each other. And
go ahead.
I've been working on my Edwin.
It's good. It's good.
You gotta look down when you do it.
Yeah.
Be
Run
good.
the fingers through the hair.
Yeah.
Make your avatar look down. You need to animate. We love Edwin. Where's Edwin been hiding out at?
Be the best you that you can be. And make sure wherever you are, that the world is a better place for you to be.
Okay.
Edwin's been having to work nights, so
bummer.
we'll get him back on stream when his schedule. Hey, Edwin!
Hey, Edwin!
We said his name 3 times and he showed up.
Oh no!
I was just closing.
Did you hear my? Yeah.
What's up?
I said I was just closing it out, but I can go another 15 if you want to hang out.
Yeah.
All right. We got it. 15 more. We lost 20 viewers, but sorry.
They'll come back.
Edwin, you're working nights, huh?
Been working nights, and we kind of had a late dinner and was running around catching up with stuff here. We're doing a partial demolition of a Victoria's Secret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dirty dog.
That is such a manly statement.
Iniquity.
And it's
sexy undergarments.
yes, sexy. It is funny. The smaller the garment is, the more it costs.
Well, that's because it was stitched together by the hands of fairies.
Yep.
Wait, that came out wrong.
Yeah,
I don't want to buy it if it wasn't made with tiny fingers.
that's going to get misquoted on Twitter tomorrow.
Tiny fingers, yeah, they're made by Chinese slave Christian children. So yeah, those are the tiny fingers.
Excellent.
Oh, So what's good, Professor Geek? I think you've probably been raising the caliber of the discussion.
Oh, I don't know about that. They were going pretty well before I got here, but no, I just finished up a live stream on my own. They've been talking about Predator before I arrived. Then we've been talking about the typical SJW fallacies and
And
lack
abortion.
of tolerance and abortion. That's right, and abortion.
How do you go from predator to abortion?
You know, predators are all pro-choice.
It's a metaphor.
That's why they're predators.
It was a very good conversation. Nothing went crazy. But if you want, you can dig in. It was only like a 5-minute conversation.
On the predators or on the abortion?
The abortion. The abortion that was the Predator movie. No.
Well, here's a question then that immediately comes to mind. You know, I don't know that I've given this stuff a lot of intellectual thought, but what life is not worth what life is not worth preserving and perpetuating into the future?
The inconvenient life, Edwin. Don't you know?
Yep. So all throughout our history, we've gone to war for abstract things.
Yeah.
We've gone and we've killed hundreds of thousands to save tens of thousands. We've killed millions to save hundreds of thousands. We beat each other, clubbed each other over abstract concepts, or so a man can say that he owns a piece of dirt that has no knowledge of him, and this man will be, forgotten in the annals of history. What was the thing about Ozymandias? Look on my works in despair.
Yeah.
Who knows the names of any of the pharaohs or any of the crazy rituals that any of them cared about, any of these things. And so we've done all these crazy things to preserve life or preserve abstract concepts. But I guess when life is inconvenient, then we can rationalize ending it very easily.
Well, it was a slow butter churn of a cultural shift. It took a great deal of lying to the public. I don't know do you know the founder of NARAL, which used to be called the National Association for the Reform of Abortion Laws? He when the ultrasound was invented, and this is a guy who had done roughly 20,000 abortions after he had gotten through deception and lying and saying that all these thousands of women were dying in back alley abortions when it was an absolute lie, and he admitted it later. He watched a video, or he had one of his subordinates, because he had all these abortion clinics at this point, film an abortion with a ultrasound machine, and watching the baby scream silently in the womb as it was being ripped apart stopped him cold in his tracks. He started from that day to fight against the very industry that he had built. And there's a video on it. It's called Silent Scream. It's on YouTube if you want to check it out.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to check it out.
Yeah.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, but yeah, it's funny because he turned, and then I can't remember his name. I had that interview with him once upon a time. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that they were just bold about it and just went up before Congress, went up before judges and whatever, and just freaking straight lied to everybody's faces. But the problem is, and I have this very weird position. I don't believe making abortion illegal would help, because the cat is so far out of the bag now that, like, if you look at Brazil, last time I checked, abortions were still illegal. Abortion is illegal in Brazil. There are more abortions in Brazil than there are in America.
Yeah.
And they're all abortion. They're all illegal, which means they're all being done. I hate the term back alley, because they're not, but they're not being done under scrutiny and safety, quote unquote. and all that stuff. So
Well-
that would happen here if somehow or another we flipped the switch and it was suddenly illegal.
Well, that means that some group of people have spent a concerted effort over the last 175 or 50 years to teach their fellow man, or to deceive their fellow man, that there are acceptable conditions where we can devalue life. Right? And,
Yep.
and most people don't compartmentalize as well as they think they do. And so when you teach people to devalue life under some particular conditions, some particular scenarios, as long as criteria X, Y, and Z is met, then life can be devalued. Well, most people do not compartmentalize well. And so the net result is that we've taught people to devalue life. Right? Not just the life of a fetus or a collection of cells, but to devalue life.
Yeah.
And so we're probably reaping the rewards of this now, because many people can imagine all sorts of scenarios where they're okay with people's lives being terminated, right? Or people being deprived of freedom or liberty or all different sorts of things.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time before punch Nazis becomes kill Nazis.
Yeah.
It's the slippery slope.
Yeah, all these different things. It's all this, and you understand this on a spiritual level. On a spiritual level, what is an antichrist but someone who denies Christ or denies the doctrine of Christ? And Christ told love your neighbor, and most of the things, either explicitly or inadvertently, are actually the opposite of that. It is a hate your neighbor doctrine.
Well, this went south.
No, no. Let me tie it in. Let me tie it in for you. Let me tie it in for you. There are people who engage in broken patterns every day. There are people who engage in broken patterns every day, and they've learned or embraced these lies. They've had their natures or their spirits corrupted. And they believe, or have come to believe, that existence is an exchange of sufferings, right? These little trade-offs and things that we have to make. All these things are an illusion. Whether or not you're a Christian or particularly religious or spiritual, even if you're agnostic or atheist, whether we're here as a result of our Creator or some grand accident, either way, it doesn't matter. If you were the result of millennia and millennia and millennia, millions and billions of years of some lucky cell surviving, how incredible is that? Your life has value, right? You managed to, whatever resulted in the production of you, managed to survive for billions of years, right? So even if you're an atheist and you believe in some sort of grand accident, how amazing is it that the matter and cells resulted in the person that you are today? And if I'm right, then we are the product of a divine creator. Well, my divine creator said that he made me, you, and all our ancestors in his image, right? He created us for his goodwill and pleasure. The most powerful, unlimited being that ever could be or ever was made you to be his company, to be his
Friend.
Yeah, to be his friend. And so whether I'm right or wrong on either count, it doesn't matter. Your life and the lives of the people around you have immense value. And you should never let anyone convince you, mislead you that life doesn't have value and merit, right? And if you see people engaged in broken patterns and you're engaged in broken patterns, you have agency and you have some sort of capacity to try and help them find a better pattern or a better pattern for yourself, or to ease that suffering. You have the power. You have the power to choose to love your neighbor and conduct your life accordingly every single day. And that is the gift. So not that dark. Not that dark. We can each of us can choose much better, right? And help the people around us to choose much better. You can be a light.
Yeah. So for me, not really having a dog in the race here, I think I like what Mike was saying, that even though he's firmly against abortion, and I'm sure he would go to great extent to convince his own kids, hey, this is probably not the way to go. I do respect that he sees a need to have that legal option to keep people into whether mothers from that, should that worst case scenario happen, then they do decide to do this for whatever reasons, that they have some kind of proper medical treatment to make sure that.
My point in that is not is that I don't want to compound the bad with the worse.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't end it if I was king of America. I wouldn't end abortion. I wouldn't make abortion illegal. I would make abortion as maybe not as complicated, at least as complicated as getting a gun. I would require that a girl go through a class, a cooling off period, learn what it is. Because a lot of these kids, a lot of these girls I know personally went through this, were just convinced that it's a clump of cells. They've been so poorly educated about the truth of what is happening and what they are doing. And then they live with that when they discover the truth of what they have done as a teenager or in their 20s. And it's that never leaves them. That never ever leaves them. It's
I'm sure there's a psychological scar that would potentially come with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
So good education on what the possibilities are. What's consider all the options and all the angles, and then do what needs to be done. And I think that's a good example of tolerance. Again, it's something you're firmly against, but at the end, it's good that you can let go and not demand just total control over, someone
I'm pragmatic.
Someone that views something so ideologically different than you, and that's good. And that's what I was saying earlier. It's that tolerance that will keep society together and keep everybody functioning. And once you let go of tolerance, then the worst possible things are going to happen.
Yeah. Matt Hayes for $5. As an atheist, our greatest value or treasure is life. I will not disagree. I tolerate your thing that I don't disagree with.
You don't have to tolerate stuff that you already agree with.
I know.
Easy, right? Doesn't require any tolerance, right? It's just like, yeah, that's cool. Nobody has to tolerate lemon meringue pie, unless you're a weirdo. Everybody loves lemon meringue pie.
I tolerate Nasser every day. Let's close that out. Edwin, do you want to shoot out your info, brother?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Edwin Boyette. Occasionally, I'm on YouTube under Edwin Boyette, and almost unless I'm tearing apart a fancy lady undergarment store, I'm usually here 5 to 6 nights out of the week, right here with Mike Miller
on the Aloha Hour. And Edwin has been featuring some lesser known Indiegogo and Comicsgate creators. So if you want to pop over to his stream and check them out, he does a little he does some fielding, right, Edwin? You
Yeah.
feel? Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So guys, please again like and subscribe. I am, how many am I away? I am 8 subscribers away from 2,700. So let's get that up. Hopefully by morning it'll be over 2,700. That'd be great. And please do check out LoneStarComic.com if you have not already. Oh well, you can like it. I don't know how that works, but support it. Check it out. Check the pages out. There's lots of good stuff there for you to look at. Lots of eye candy and some dialogue and all that fun stuff too.
Yeah.
I am so happy everyone showed up, even though we were interrupting Ethan's stream. I appreciate everyone in the chat. Thank you all for being here. We couldn't do the show without you. So, Edwin?
Yeah, and I was coming in late, and I don't know the things that are weighing on each of you. You know, life is kind of oriented these days to keep us in a state of fear and panic, and never enough time to slow down and decide if any of these things are worth being afraid and panicking over. Short answer, they're not. And if you see someone in a state of distress, and you have the capacity to ease that distress, please do. And if you yourself are in a state of distress, ask if that distress and that anger serves you, if it's worth being in that state. To that end, be as kind and as compassionate and respectful to the people around you as you can be, and be the best version of yourself that you can be. So wherever you are in the world is better because you are there. Until we meet again, I wish you a good night and aloha.
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 Lone Star Squadron, you are dismissed.